I'm Grant,
What's up? I'm Tash.
and this is Indie BN. You heard it first, B.
And we're back again with another podcast. We sat down with the artist Lowen out of Nashville, Tennessee. Had a hell of a time talking Singapore prisons. We're talking bagels, and we're talking a hatred of pretzels.
Whew. Hot take on the pretzels. Let's roll the tape.
All right, welcome back to Indiebnb. Grant and I are joined today by the musical artist Lowen. Lowen, what is going on?
I'm hanging out at home in my studio and excited to be chatting with you guys.
Well, we are pumped to have you on. Grant and I, like we mentioned earlier as we were talking, we're just huge fans of music, and we're always trying to find new music to send to each other. And um, it's probably 2 months ago now. He sent to me, just fucking let me love you, and it just blew us both away. I'm telling you, it's been my favorite song this year. And so we're super stoked to have you on, and glad you can make it tonight.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's like a busy time here in quarantine, just home, hanging out.
That's right. Well,
Yeah,
how
thanks
has
for inviting me.
this has been a common theme for us throughout this podcast because obviously there haven't been a lot of touring or live shows going on in the past year. So, what has quarantine COVID life been like for you as an artist?
Sure. Um, it's been, quite honestly, it hasn't been thankfully um that different for me because I'm my studio is at my house. It's the whole like downstairs area of my house. Um and most of I would say besides touring, besides traveling to like write and work with other people in different places, um it's been a lot of I guess I've had an opportunity to like lean into the uh what is it called when you're someone who's an extrovert but like my introverted side a little bit because I've gotten to stay home, and thankfully like I'm able to do that. And I know a lot of people have suffered, because of the pandemic and because of the ramifications of having to stay home and or getting sick or whatever it is. So I'm super lucky in that sense. So it's honestly just been a good excuse to be able to be in my studio and like camp out here, and be at home with my partner and my dogs. So that part's been really nice. That's been a silver lining for sure.
Nice. Yeah, we most people we talk to are like, yeah, we're just, we released music like in December of 2019 with like full fledged ready to go tour, and so they were all just, like this has sucked for us, but that's good that you've been able to lean into that. And um, has it helped your creative process at all? Either from a producer side or from just a artistic songwriting side.
Yeah, it's given me the time and like freedom to um I don't there's like less distractions because especially I live in Nashville, so pre-pandemic, actually the last show that a lot of people went to was my show. And then we had the tornado here at the beginning of the year, which was horrible. And then quarantine started right after that. So it's just given me the time really to like digest life. I and have the time to like marinate on it and make more music about it. Um, Not necessarily about quarantine, but explore like production and have the time to do it. Which I'm super grateful for. And I paint a lot, so painting and um, kind of just like being my true hippie self here at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Um, so with that, Yeah, you mentioned producing. What kind of got you into music? Was it more of a production side, or was it playing music growing up? What how did you ultimately become Lowen?
I started playing music. So like I didn't think other people didn't sing or like didn't jam in the car. You know what I mean? Like I grew up just doing that. My dad, when I was little, taught me on his guitar my first few chords, and then I kind of like ran with it from there. And then I started learning cover songs, and then I was in the band, and I was in different bands outside of school, and it was just always like a natural kind of like you wake up and you brush your teeth. It was like it was just there. And I kind of took it for granted until I realized other people weren't that way. And this was sort of like my thing. I'm just like a creative person, and I need to. It's like very visceral for me playing and singing. It it like triggers something else. It's not just the act of doing it to entertain. It's like the feeling of doing it. Even when I was little in my bedroom, jamming, I bought myself a drum set after my bat mitzvah. When I turned 13, I used some of my bat mitzvah money uh, to buy a drum set for myself. And so it was drums for a long time for me, actually. And I like didn't want to sing or be in the front of the band. My school had like a top 40 kind of band, and we would play like I Will Survive and songs like that. So it was a more traditional like drums, bass, guitar, background vocals, saxophone, than a marching band. So that gave me the opportunity to start playing with other people. I jammed. I would skip classes to just jam with my bandmates. Um, and I was in choirs. So it was just sort of always a part of my DNA. And then it wasn't until college that I got an internship at a music venue and saw people playing at this beautiful theater who weren't like they weren't Beyonce, but they weren't like not that there's anything wrong with it, but they weren't busking on the street either. It was this like about to break art, Macklemore, Brandy Carlisle, Tegan and Sarah, and then nostalgia acts like Mark Cohn and man, tons of other people that I got to see. And I ran errands for them. That was my job over there. So it gave me my first look into seeing that this was like a viable thing, being like an artist. And then the rest is history because after college, I opted out of getting a traditional job, and I played cover gigs just to pay my bills until I was able to make music, my own original music for a living.
That is awesome. I mean, I can't imagine that experience of just you know being like the starstruck side of it, just being like, oh, that's Brandy Carlisle, or that's Tegan and Sarah, stuff like that. That must have just been amazing, just to even be around them.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, a lot of the times I wasn't even around, the people who were playing as much as it was like their crew, their tour management, their taking their bus drivers, things you don't even think of, like take driving their bus driver to the hotel so they could sleep for the day while the show's happening because they would be leaving at night. So I was getting this like backdoor inside look at what life could look like or what life does look like on that level when you operate at that level. And I like I'm an artist, but I also like that other side of things too. So I was, I must have been when I got that job like 20. And so I think I was also just finding my own place in the world and seeing if I could even if it was okay or acceptable. I was waiting for someone to give me permission to pursue music. And I was also thinking like, well, maybe I can do music business. I could do something behind the scenes. And um it wasn't until like a year after I graduated that I was like, "Mm, I could do this. Like I just need to grind. I just need to grind." But I didn't want to make that concession and get a traditional job. But yeah, it was awesome. It was seeing all of the different parts of the operation of the touring operation, seeing a show booked from start to finish to execution. To literally like cleaning toilets after all these
Yeah,
bands be there. So it was an amazing experience. Yeah.
that must have helped. Once you were finally like, this is it. I'm gonna I'm gonna become a musical artist. This is what I'm gonna do with my life. I must have helped to just know it's not just, writing the songs and performing. It's all these other moving parts. So that must have helped being able to see the, behind the magic curtain of what's actually going on to make this happen.
Totally. And it helped me honestly, like, get a hold on my own, like, treating my music and like artistry as a, like, a bit, I mean, I hate this word, it's weird to say, but like as a business from the get-go, and thinking like, okay, if I'm going to make this a viable thing, like how am I going to do it? And I need to build a team. And before you could do any of that, you have to have good art. So there was a lot of time I developed first, not as a songwriter, but really as like a road person, as someone touring. So uh, I wrote like the first 6 songs I wrote, I was like, okay, time to book shows. And I was just like ready to play because I love playing. I love playing music with other people. So that was my first instinct. And it like I would book, I'd book my own tours, or, the talent buyer at the venue at the time was helping me out as well. So just kind of like doing DIY in the truest form. And I just kind of like threw myself into it, and like fake it till you make it mode for the first, I mean, everybody's still faking it till they make it pretty much. So yeah, it helped a lot. Definitely. It gave me some, I think, some insider scoop, that, and some education that school or like nothing can replace that experience other than being in it.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you were just kind of throwing songs together, but what kind of goes into your, I guess either then we started, or how does it differ now, or if it's the same, what kind of is your creative process for making a song?
Um, well, now it's kind of similar to how it was before. I guess now I have the tools to execute on things a little bit differently. Um, and I think I have honed my craft since I've started. But the story is definitely a little bit different, because I was, releasing music under my given name, Emily Kopp. And right out during college, in college, I would just leave school on, Thursdays. I wouldn't book my classes if I could help it, on Thursdays and Fridays. So I would go to Atlanta a lot and do like weekend warrior stuff, play open mics at Eddie's Attic. I would do like the Southeast, and it was my goal to try to build an audience, with my like homemade pressed CDs. And um, so how it jumps from that to now is, to make a very long story short, it was that for a little bit. And then, at the time I was living in Orlando, Florida, and uh, playing a lot of gigs at, like World of Beer and different brunch spots, and 3-4 hours of cover songs. And then I would use that money to live off of and to fund touring, over the weekends. So I burned out very quickly, like very quickly, because my vision was very much like this. Like, I only saw life through the lens of music equals success, happiness, joy, everything correlated to that. And what ends up happening is you burn out because you don't have any balance in your life. And I didn't even do any digging of like discovering what made me happy outside of that. So I had also at the time gone through a really big breakup with someone that I had been with for 7 years. Um, and so the timing of it was just like the bubble had just bursted for me. And that's when I decided to, for lack of better words, like say fuck it. Can I say that on the podcast?
Yeah.
And I packed.
Given the song that we discovered you by, I think we're gonna.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Okay. It feels good to say. I love the English language, so I'm a songwriter and I love using different words, but sometimes there's no replacement for the word like fuck. You know what I mean?
There's not.
And so I said fuck it, and I'd started dating my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time, and we were both in a crossroads in our life. And we packed up our bags and made a plan and basically went rogue for like a year. And we backpacked all over the world and lived in, like, I can't even describe the places we lived, and the we were basically spending months on end in different countries all over. Uh, and it gave me an opportunity to take a step back, from my life in Florida, from it just gave me like a vantage point, and it gave me an opportunity to like see life outside of being obsessed with my music career. And that was kind of when everything clicked, ironically. And when I gained a lot of success as a producer and a songwriter, not for my own music, but well, for my music, but not under my name, but for a lot of the music that I was creating, um, uh, with a buddy of mine, who's also a producer in Orlando. And he and I had made a lot of music that ended up blowing up in the commercial and television world. And so the irony of everything is that I took a step back, and like I'm sleeping in these really rundown hostels in like Thailand, Vietnam, and I'm getting these emails about like Samsung wants to use your da 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 for this campaign, and like JetBlue wants to use this for this campaign, and then it like the list went on and on and on, and it kept happening, to the point where by the time our trip was over, we decided to plant our feet in Nashville. And I was basically just honing my production and songwriting chops my first couple years here, and growing from what had occurred in my career. And then I said, okay, it's time. I'm ready, uh, to be to share myself again as an artist, and that's how Lowen was born.
That is amazing. I mean, just
Crazy story.
the ironies all through there. Plus, one of the coolest Instagram pages I've seen in a while in backpacking babes.
I haven't updated it in like a hot minute, so I appreciate that you're on there.
Yeah, I was going through and I was just like, man, y'all went to some cool places. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it was like I literally suggest everybody blows up their life at least once to do that for sure.
Oh
Incredible.
man. Yeah, so I lost my spot. Grant, how about you have some questions? You
I
know?
mean, I had some questions back from the internship, but now I really want to just hear the best story from the. I want to hear the wildest like backpacking story. I mean, I'm sure there is something that you just stick out in your mind that you're like, this was the craziest thing that happened in Iceland or Laos or wherever
Yeah.
what other travels you went through. So
Yeah.
crazy story.
There's a lot. Yeah. Let me see. I mean, there's some good, crazy stories. Just like the people you meet, and I think you live with like such abandon, and you live with such, when you like wake up every day without any plan of what your day is going to be, just fully like, okay, what's today going to be? Vietnam? Like, let's do this. Um, you're fully open to, so you meet tons of people. We're staying in places for like months at a time. So you become friends with people. I started gigging a little bit in Hanoi, Vietnam. I started playing gigs in like some of the local bars just like for fun, for like a tab. Um, and my wife almost at the time, my girlfriend almost got arrested. This was scary. Okay, this is a story. It wasn't like one of the most adventurous moments. It was just, we have a lot of those, but this was a scary moment actually. We had a layover in Singapore, and I don't know if you've ever been to Singapore, but it's one of like the safest places in the world. It's like a clean New York City, but the reason it's so safe is because their laws are so intense. And we should have read up on that, We didn't we didn't read up on that and how kind of strict they were. So we were on a layover from Thailand to Vietnam. No, Vietnam to Israel, I think. I don't really remember. But the layover was in Singapore for 48 hours. So we had booked a hostel, one of those hostels that you like sleep in a pod. Have you ever seen them? They're like, it's a wall
Yeah.
stacked. with beds, and then you like sleep in a pod, and you can like close the curtain, and there's just like a TV in front of you, and you're just like, okay, I feel like I'm in a coffin, and I'm paying $150 for this pod, and because Singapore's super expensive too. So we land, and when you leave the airport in Singapore, that's how strict they are. They put your bag through another like X-ray machine to make sure you're not going out into their land with stuff that I mean, I don't understand. So they put our bags through the X-ray machine, and then some of this like TSA, whatever they call it there, comes up to my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and asks if they can open her bag. So they open her bag, and at the very bottom of her bag, they found a pepper spray that was still in the package, unopened. Her mom had given it to us at the very beginning of the trip just to like have.
Yeah.
Here, I think you can walk into like Walgreens and buy pepper spray. It's not a big deal. And it's like, it's equivalent of like flying with meth or something like there. Like, apparently, like we didn't know this. So they basically took her and interrogated her in the back, and you're not allowed to be out. Like, you're not allowed to be gay. Like, you just can't hold hands, be gay. Just, you can't. So we were friends there, and they took her to the back, and I couldn't even get logged into Wi-Fi to tell anybody we had landed. And she was gone for about an hour. And they like come back, and she's looking at me. She has like two super intense looking security guards behind her, like police, like airport police. And she's looking at me, giving me like signs with her eyes, like, oh fuck, like I'm scared. Like, this is really scary. So she basically like told me, hey, I have to go back for some more questioning. They are concerned about the pepper spray in my bag. And she's just like looking at me dead ass with like all of the fear in her eyes. And it was some scary shit. Like, basically what she told me back when she went to the back, they had like in the movies, like lamp, table, interrogation. How did you get this? And she's like, my mom gave it to me. Like, we have like CVS, Walgreens in the States. Like, you can just buy it anywhere. Well, if you planned on using it, why was it at the bottom of your bag? She's like, good point. I don't know. And so, long story short, she had to sign a piece of paper saying that she would be on her flight the next day. Otherwise, they would come after us for like they would have thought we were like a terrorist, basically, and come after us. So we like had to make sure we didn't miss our flight the following day. Um, I unfortunately got very sick that night at that hostel, like with something called traveler's stomach. It's the most horrific. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy. It's horrific. You can't even, like, I thought I was going to die. I thought I was like, this is it. I'm dying.
Well, you're already in a coffin, so I mean,
Yeah, I was like, exactly. I was like ready to go. I was like, please just be gentle. Like, I was ready. But that was like a pretty scary moment for sure. And I'm sure I'm gonna write a book about it all one day. But that was definitely a story I could think of. That was pretty intense.
That'd be a tough rap doing, 25 to life for some pepper spray in your purse,
No, I know. It was unbelievable. We couldn't we were, and she was just shooken up the rest of the time. Like, she's like, you don't even want to know what went on back there. They just like interrogated me. Thought I was gonna go to jail. Yeah, we made it out. We're fine.
yeah, it's just like so scary when you're in foreign countries. Anytime you go somewhere, I was uneasy going to Puerto Rico, and that's a territory. I didn't even need to show a passport, but still, it's a different, you're in a different place. You don't know, you're not familiar, and I can't imagine getting like something like I mean, that's something none of us would have thought about. Now, the only reason I know about it is because I heard people get caned for like chewing gum there. That's like one of the big big things that go on. But that's crazy. Another thing, just coming back to the internship. I mean, what would be the best piece of, I guess, what was the best moment with an artist you shared? Obviously, you were driving around bus drivers, and even bus drivers, I'm sure, have some awesome stories. But like, what was the best like moment you had with somebody during that time, and that kind of really affected you to keep, and inspired you to keep on going and go through, with your music today?
I think that gosh, there's so many, but like one for me that was really special, and this was before Brandy Carlisle was like
Who
the
she is
Brandy
now.
Carlisle that like everybody knows now. This was back when she like still she had a cult following always, but it was, she was playing like clubs and, mid-sized theaters. So I don't even think I knew her music like at all. Like I wasn't in that world of music. So but I started listening to her. I usually started listening to like the artists before they came because I wanted to like have some sort of context. And so I knew I was going to be like working for them and tending to their needs and driving them wherever they needed to go during the day before the show. Um, but then I heard that her opener dropped off two or three of the dates for whatever reason. And my boss at the time submitted me. He was like, "Do you have like 30 minutes worth of material?" I was like, yeah, sure. I'm the type I say yes, and then I figure it out later. Yeah, I had 6 songs to my name and a repertoire of 4 hours of covers. So I was like, yeah, I can sprinkle in some covers. So he submitted me for that, and they needed an opener last minute. So I ended up not. I wasn't playing that date that she was playing where I worked, but I did play on some other dates on that run. Actually, I think it was just 2 dates. It was one in like Gainesville, Florida, and then one in Athens at the Melting Point. Have y'all been
Wow.
there?
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember seeing her at the Melting Point and like standing side stage. And that place isn't that big. I think they hold maybe 600 people, like if that, 500, 600 people. And I just remember being like, first of all, they were really gracious and offered if I wanted to use any of their gear, um, feel free. And they like, she loaned me, not loaned me, but like she gave me her hotel room for that night because they were continuing on their road journey. Um, and I remember them being really gracious and wanting to like model that as I continued to move forward because there were a lot of bands and artists that weren't very gracious.
Hmm.
Uh, and I distinctly remember watching her from the side of that Melting Point show in Athens and like my mind being completely blown open, like in the craziest way. And to this day, the only reason I can sell out Eddie's Attic is because of that Athens show. Like I still have fans from back in the day that still come to see me play. And it's kind of crazy. Like it's full circle. And I remember thinking, like, damn, like I'm so inspired and I want to feel how whatever she's doing, I want to do my own thing in the world that creates that feeling for people and to get to pursue my music on top of it was just yeah, I remember that being one interaction that completely it was like a switch for sure that
That
changed.
is that is awesome. And I'll tell you, I think you figured that out because I've got some notes here, and I was just listening through some of your songs today, and I was like, your lyrics and your sound mesh together so well, and they create just like an emotional, like there's an emotion to every song that I felt like I could connect to, whether it be a sad emotion or like just something I could relate to, whether it was broken heart connection or something. So that's something that I don't know if that's what you were aiming at, but that's what I've noticed through your music. So if that was your goal, I think you've accomplished it.
Thank you. I feel like the goal is just always to get closer to yourself. And I feel like the closer you are, whether you do music or art or anything like that, just the more you know yourself, the more you can navigate being alive. You know what I mean? Like it's a crazy experience, but that we're all here and we're all like alive. It's really hard. It's sometimes really hard being a person. So I think that's probably why it's like all ends up kind of being existential because I think that ends up being what I write a lot about. So sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's happy, but it all comes from a place of like awe of like the human experience, you know?
Yeah, and I think that by creating that emotion, it's able me as a listener, I'm able to connect because these aren't individual emotions. These are universal emotions. And I think that's where artists really can lack in lyric writing a lot of times is either trying to be too coy about it, like trying to hide what they're really feeling, or just being too upfront about it. And there's like that fine line. And I feel like you're really riding that wave of like not just coming out and being like, oh, I'm sad, but not just coming out and being and no one knowing what the hell you're trying to say at all. So
Totally. Thank you for saying that. I'm glad people like it.
yeah, I'm telling you, the last podcast we did, we shouted you out. We were like, just fucking let me love you is the like that of all of our songs that we've been sharing with each other, that's been like the one. I remember Grant texted me and was like, you got to check this out. And one of
Right
my
now.
right now,
Man.
I'm listening, and I'm like, okay. And honestly, the beginning, I was just like, okay. I mean, it's a good song, but Grant was like, this is unreal. And then we all know where this is going. And the halfway point, you just get smacked in the face, and my head just exploded. So my question is, was that planned, or was that just like you were playing the beginning part and it's kind of quiet, and then you're like, this would be cool as shit if we built this up?
The song was like very wordy at first. It was like I wish I remembered it. It wasn't even like she said go and find someone. It was like like every second I could fill with a word, there was a word, and there was just like a lot going on. And then the melody was like just fine, na, 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 na. Like, it was just like a nice singer-songwriter song. And then I brought it to like two of my best friends and two people that I just coincidentally also love making music with, who are also artists. And they were here at my studio, and we like stayed up super late and got really stoned and got in our feelings and started chatting. And then I shared some of the song with them, and I knew I had like melody. I actually didn't have any words for that part. And I was like, I'm tired, no, 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 no. And we were like confused. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, where are we landing on it, And I think it was like, they ended up like sleeping over that night, like crashing on the couch because we were just up all night. And then my friend Carlos, who is an amazing artist, and I think he was the one. We're like, I'm cycling through the chords, and he's like, stop right now. And he had me play through it, and then right at that part, he just like wailed, and he was like, it has to be like, you have to wail, like, and then we all just like jumped out of our seats, and we were like, that's the thing, yes. So that's how it happened, and then from there, the rest of the song got written, and then honestly, it's when we went to go record, I went to Oklahoma to record it with a producer named Chad Copeland, who's also a friend of mine, and his studios is in Norman, Oklahoma. And we were in the studio, we recorded vocals and everything, and then we even changed lyrics like right up until the very end. It still felt too busy, like the words and the verses. And so it ended up till the very, very last minute, like continuously being written, basically, and like continued to be molded until I did my like actual vocals, basically.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I remember showing it to my wife. I was like, you gotta listen to the song, and she had the same. She's like, oh my gosh. And then I remember one Friday night, I was like, we'd gone to dinner and I'd had some drinks, and I came back and I was just kind of playing around on my guitar, and I was trying to figure out the chords, and I was like,
You could do it.
well, it's like you're on Ultimate Guitar, like you can just go on there and find the chords. And but yeah, we love it. And then I'll let Grant take over this part, but we're huge fans of the video slash wedding singer mashup.
Oh man.
Oh, that
I
came from going viral on Reddit on accident. So like that's how I made it from that, because someone commented on Reddit and was like, oh, it's like wedding singer vibes. And I was like, yes, amazing.
My sister and I play that together like every Thanksgiving, the wedding singer song. So I love that song.
the Yeah, the Van Dora family sing along is one I've been a part of, and it's a joy, and that is definitely the cherry on top. But getting to your videos, I mean, I always, I every time I'm like the music video guy, but I always say this of like it's a lost art, in what we do today, and um, so I really enjoyed, taking a deep dive into what you've been doing on YouTube, and the live sets, that has some awesome production to it, and that seems like it was done right in your basement there. Is that correct?
It looks like it was, but it's actually someone else's basement that we like rented because it looks so cool.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. So, I mean, I guess my first question is, I mean, the inspiration for morning, and then you getting water dumped on you. I mean, is that coming from Flashdance? I mean, we're getting some Flashdance vibes at the end there. What was that all about? And tell me about just the making of that video and the process.
Uh, my videographer who's done all my videos, he lives in here in Nashville. Luke Harvey is his name, and his company that he films under is called Moss Flower Pictures. I gotta shout him because he's like my boy. Um, but he is the one who kind of like comes up with all those super creative ways to do like high budget things for like not a high budget. So um he was like, well, what if at the end, if you would, I should post a TikTok of this or something. I can't believe I'm saying TikTok, but the actual video is like, if you zoom out from what you see on camera, it's like someone holding a hose over, like, that is literally, we had to bring in water because the warehouse we were shooting in didn't have water. Like I had to rent like a porta potty and everything because we didn't have any water there. And with like fans, there was no AC. It was just like an abandoned warehouse. And yeah, he brought in water, and then like we only had like enough for like one take, and it's just like someone holding a hose, and then we like let it fall down on me, and it's just like him shouting like, yeah, like get into it, this is gonna look crazy. But what it really was just like meow, like just a little bit of like a few droplets of water. So he came up with that idea, which I thought was like a great touch. But yeah, it's like a mixture of, from the very beginning, we're actually planning my next two videos now for the next bunch of songs that I'm going to be releasing. And from the very, very beginning, from inception, it starts always with like him listening to the music, me talking about it with him, talking about different visual things that I'm inspired by, whether it be um, a certain type of aesthetic or a certain concept idea. And then based on that, he can help pull it off, like, or tell me if it's possible. Like I asked him the other day if he can put a green screen on like leaves, and flowers. And he was like, I don't know about that, but let me look into it. So I can just like shoot him weird ideas. Um and then yeah, my partner Robin, my wife, she's like a super fan of, like, she grew up in like she cried when Kurt Cobain died. So she grew up listening to like alt rock and punk in 90s, and just like gritty singer-songwriters. And so she's always throwing a lot of like 90s inspiration my way, and introducing me to just visuals and sonics that I maybe wasn't as connected to just because of my age. So, or because of my taste isn't as good, I guess. So like that's how it happened with the Just Fucking Let Me Love You video. Was she was the one that was like Alanis and Poe and like Kurt Cobain and like 90s grunge. This can be like 90s grunge idol vibes. Um, so she's super creative too, and like helps throw ideas in the hat. And I love collaborating on ideas with people that I work with. So yeah.
Yeah, that video looked like it was probably miserable to film. Like in the first half, you just like holding still, and then the second half. I mean, now that you say that, it looks like like the Smells Like Teen Spirit video where they're
Yeah.
like destroying the house. So that must have been a blast, just being able to just scream and
It was nuts. It was
destroy.
my knees were bleeding for like the next 2 days because I just went in hard. And the crew, it was just myself, Luke, um, who films everything, and it was at his house in his film studio. And his wife like did my makeup, and then I had a couple of friends stop by throughout the day, help out, holding the flowers at the beginning, and by the end it was just myself and Luke and me terrorizing the studio, and him just saying like, throw everything, like throw yourself on the floor, like punch holes. He's like, go crazy, and he's like screaming at me while he's filming. And yeah, it was intense because you think it looks, you feel weird in the moment, but when you look back, it's pretty, yeah, you got to go hard in the moment, and that's what looks better on camera.
I got to tell you too that something about when you were just like doing this part was like it was so fitting when you're just like singing in between the just fucking let me love you screams. I, I was like that just fits so perfectly to me.
Thank you. I just went full animal mode. I think like right around hour 15, I was like, I have no more fucks to give. Like, I'm so tired and need to get out of here. And I want this to look really good. So I have to expend all of the rest of my energy right now and just get as weird as I can. And I guess that's like animalistic me. So I'm glad it came across. Like,
Yes. Perfect. When you mentioned that, talking about new videos, what's next for Lone? What's coming out? When you going on tour? We got EPs coming out.
yeah, I'm gonna be I've been working on heavy production on like the next 4 songs, and they're now in like mix mode. And I started working on production for the next 2 songs after that. So there's a lot of music that is um just going to be like ready to launch. And the way it's going to happen is just going to be via singles, alongside different pieces for each one, whether that be, live videos, like really, full band. We're going pretty hard with this release cycle. So like full band um videos and mixes that sound, I want people to like, to when you like watch this, when you watch something live, like I want it to like sound good, look good. So yeah, and then 2 music videos for the new songs too. So it'll probably be on like uh we're starting releases. I'm hesitant to say a date because we've already fallen a little bit behind, but mid May. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Excited. That's gonna be
And then
some.
hopefully tour, and then hopefully some touring. I guess it's all that that whole world is kind of up in the air right now, because as shows start to roll back out and more people are vaccinated, it's likely a lot of it's happening from top to bottom. So it's like the bigger artists will probably be the first ones to go out. Um, and I'm the goal is, to be opening as much as possible. I did a little headline tour right before Corona happened, which was awesome. Um, but I think touring for everyone right now is just sort of in the air because, I mean, like venues are closing,
Yeah.
and a lot of this is just kind of going to be determined by what the music world wants. Like if there's a need for that, then great. And I can't wait. I'm like biting at the bits to do that. Um, but I'm also okay with having the time to like keep making this music. My wife and I are expecting a baby at the end of June. So like I'm in no rush to to go leave, for 1 month or 2 months or however long. So yeah.
I didn't even think like when you said like coming from the top down. Also, I was just thinking. Usually, there's like the big artists will kind of like overlap. Like an artist will release an album, go on a tour, and then they're done. And just at that time, another artist is kind of doing that. But I didn't think like the floodgates are just going to open on touring, and it's just going to be everyone's coming out of the gates at once. So, um, but yeah, hopefully these smaller venues, will get back open and we can get more music out there. And as Grant and I said, this podcast is all just because we're fans. of music. And so, as fans of music, what's something that we could do, listeners could do to help with obviously the Black Keys are going to be okay whether music or not. But what's something we can do to help these mid-level bands that are not making millions and millions of dollars just by releasing a single?
Right. I think like the best thing you could do that anyone can do is I mean, nobody has to go starting a podcast. You guys are just like superstars. Um, but I think at least to put like money in some of these, like a lot of indie bands, even signed bands that like don't make a lot of money because they're in terrible deals. Um, I think buying merch is a big deal directly from artists. Um, Obviously streaming doesn't pay a lot, but like hyping people up when you get the chance, like telling just like that was the benefit of playing live, right? Is you see an artist you love and then you bring your friends next time to go see them. And so I guess maybe mimicking that on a certain level until touring comes back, sharing new people with your friends. Like you said, uh a lot of these other artists, they're going to be just fine. Um but yeah, like financially supporting them, but I also, besides that, like in the long run, like when it is time to play shows, like buying a ticket means everything. And the effort that's not lost on me too, like being someone who used to work at a venue. uh it means even if you can fill a 100-person room or 200, whatever it is, it's like those 100 people, like they put their plans this side, like they got dressed up and they left the house and they paid money to go sit and watch you play or stand and watch you play music. So translating that in in a COVID world where there might not be live music yet, via merch, via buying vinyl if they have vinyl, and just like hyping them up. I think you guys are killing it. But yeah, for whoever's listening, that is definitely um
You got to
some
get your ass out there and buy some t-shirts, especially.
yeah, I gotta buy that swag. Gotta buy that swag.
as
Definitely.
I'm wearing a St. Vincent t-shirt, I think she'll be okay as well.
Is
But
that St. Vincent merch? I was wondering what that was. God,
that's from her, like the
badass.
St. Vincent album, the one where she's like sitting on the throne. I went and saw her. Oh, actually, she opened up for the Black Keys, so um, comes full circle.
Hell
But
yeah. That's a career trajectory I could like that, just like just steady and like a producer. That's kind of like what I aim to do, is be like a versatile just I'm not not just, but an artist, or I don't think there are enough like women in that space, so I'm glad St. Vincent is known, and like repping someone who produces, who can play guitar, who can write songs, who can make things with other artists. It's incredible.
yeah, she's one of my favorites. So that's not a. I don't think that's a bad thing to aspire to.
Yeah, it's definitely, that would be iconic. Anything,
I mean,
anything.
I want to be St. Vincent. So, um, but yeah, we'll do everything we can to get your name out there, to get your music out there. I don't know how many people are going to listen to this, but if they do, they're going to hear about you. And we were in an Uber the other day, going from like bar to my house, and we were like telling this Uber driver, who probably didn't give two shits what we were saying, but we're like,
Yeah.
you gotta listen to this chick. And we like, put your song on in the car. I'm telling you, we're obsessed with your
we're
music.
we're evangelizing for sure. We're trying to
uh,
spread the word.
well, I'm stoked to hopefully see you guys when we come. My band is fucking, I love those guys too. So and they make the, like all of us together kind of make the show what it is. So like I hope we get to see you guys in, Atlanta whenever we get to play there.
Oh, you'll
Yeah.
see us. We'll be in the front row without a doubt.
But
So
yeah.
Be there.
um, I think it might be time to see what Lowen's made of in the Pete Peterson's party pack of questions.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a great one. I'm very excited. First off, I want to say that I really do love and admire your appreciation for the whole picture. I think that you got that from your internship and seeing everything and appreciating the bus drivers. That's something that in organizations I've been in, I think that's something that goes a long way, knowing somebody's name and, helping people out. So I want to commend you for that. Number one. So before I get all misty on you, we're going to go Pete Peterson's party pack of questions, 20 questions,
Right.
rapid fire. And here we go. Cash or credit?
Cash.
Toaster strudels or Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts.
Is love at first sight real?
Yes.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Sunrises or sunsets?
Sunsets, 100%.
Salad or soup?
Salad.
Donuts or bagels?
Bagels. That's like I bleed bagels. Bagels.
Vintage or new?
Vintage.
Night in or a night out?
Night in.
All right. Would you rather be doing the robot dance or the worm?
Man, one is really good for your abs, but I don't know how to do it. So robot.
All right. Chips or pretzels?
Ooh, I don't really fuck with either, if I'm being honest. But if I had, I think pretzels are a huge waste of food. I just don't really have respect for pretzels. It's not my thing. So chips.
Lowen, anti-pretzel. So we're gonna, man, that was a hot take.
I just don't get them. I don't get it.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
Would you rather be a ninja or a pirate?
A ninja for sure. A ninja.
All right. All right. Is Bigfoot real or not?
No.
Are aliens real?
Yes, 100%.
All right. Chicken tendies or chicken wings?
Neither. I don't eat meat.
No meat. All right. Got to do your research, Grant. Jeez.
but I did eat meat. And if I had to choose, tendies don't have bones, do they?
They do not.
But there's nothing like going to Buffalo Wild Wings and getting like a bunch of chicken wings. So if I had to choose, chicken wings.
All right. She's a wings. She's wings all the way. All right. Dogs versus cats. Who you choosing?
Dogs for sure.
Dogs all the way. How about jam or jelly?
Jam.
Oh, hot jam. She's got it. All right. Caramel or caramel?
Caramel.
Caramel. All right.
Caramel.
And the final question, as always, who are some bands we might not know that A, we should be featuring on our page, and B, we should be listening to?
Ooh. Gosh, I like a lot of bands, but they're like a lot of them don't really need the shout, if I'm being honest, they're like bigger band. I listen to a lot of people, but Tracy Chapman doesn't really need me to shout her.
She's in a fast car. She does not need a shout.
She's
You're
good.
right.
Like she's fine. I'll shout some of my friends. Carlos Guevara.
Carlos, the guy who we can thank for the screaming part.
Yes.
And just fucking let me love you. I love that.
Joy Oladokun, who's already doing like amazingly awesome things. My BFF Ellery Bonham, she's putting out an album this year, and she makes like it's kind of like 90s feeling, like R&B. Carlos is just like eccentric pop music. His vocals are insane. Like he's just a force. Yeah, let's stick with those. That's good. That's a lot to dig into.
That's great. That's great. We as today's band was Woos, that was given to us by our buddy Glass Eye. So I mean, we definitely take and as people introduce us to other people. Ed, who we had in our podcast that released today, was introduced to us by our boy Medium Build from Alaska. So
oh, rad. Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
So we love and so hopefully let them know. We may reach out. We want to get them on the pod, so we might have to do that.
Will do. I love your background, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in a room with a really bad light, and I was like, you know what is better than that light? The Northern Lights. So
nice.
But
So
Lowen, it has been a blast having you on here. We can't wait till you can get back on the road again and we can come scream at you while you're on stage. Um,
Yeah.
until next time, take care and thank you for coming on.
Thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you soon. See you in Atlanta.
we'll
See ya.
see you in Atlanta.